from Abuja.
It's all about the human struggle to raise the level of living. That's what it's all about. I'm Magnus Packle, and this is Magnus Packle GVA. I appreciate you being a part of our show. In view today, Africa and competitiveness. Is Africa competitive in the global marketplace? We have an exciting panel to discuss this. But before that, let's take a quick view on housing affordability for young people in Nigeria. Coming up. According to most projections, the population of Nigeria will climb to about 400 million by the year 2050. Already, with nearly 170 million people, Nigeria's population under 15 years of age is about 45% of total. That means that about 77 million people fall into this category. Now, about 70% of the population are under age 30. This amounts to nearly 120 million young people. Nigeria has a youth issue to deal with. The youth are the most likely to be underemployed, unemployed, or to even fall out of the labor market. When people fall out of the labor market, they are very likely to be free radicals, especially when an unrighteous economy tends to prevail. An unrighteous economy exists whereby whatever method, there is significant and sustained repression of economic participation. One clear way of seeing how well people are doing is just by looking at where they live. Indeed, how you know whether a people are poor or not is by looking at their condition of living. People who are forced by economic circumstances to live in poor housing know it, and they don't like it. Because they don't like their condition of living, they may develop negative compensatory behavior in a manner that can be socially upsetting. It is therefore important for policy to look at the apparent housing deficit in the country and look to take steps that will ameliorate it. Most young people out of the university want a good-looking apartment, but they can't afford it and must live in someone's boys' quarters, even if they are girls. Even at that, they must pay their rent up front, and typically for a year or two. It is magic how these young people manage to be able to make these payments. Clearly, it is unsustainable. And with the continuing population explosion, it is scary what can happen in the future. We cannot keep on kicking this can down the road. Significant job creation and monthly rent and mortgage payments are the things that must happen to prevent an obvious crisis in the very near future. We will soon have a full discussion on this. This is just our quick view. Still in view, is Africa competitive enough in the global marketplace? But up next in our hidden economics, all you can eat. Are buffet restaurants good business in Africa? In Africa, many restaurants are unsure of profitability when it comes to starting an all-you-can-eat buffet. Now, why is that? Well, basically at an all-you-can-eat, the restaurant charges a flat rate no matter how many times you fill your plate. In general, customers or patrons to buffets fall into two basic groups. One group consists of people who just want to have a nice, relaxed meal with regular portions, and maybe one or two trips up to the buffet station. These people are unlikely to eat the food to a value equal to or above the price they paid for the privilege of the buffet. The other group is of people who are overeaters. A person in this group will enter the buffet with a mission of trying to single-handedly put the firm out of business through the volume of food consumed relative to the price they paid. Indeed, some restaurants have actually tried to kick people out who really attempt to eat in this manner. First of all, realize that all-you-can-eat buffets work on the principle of the law of diminishing marginal utility, which states that for every unit of a good consumed, the consumer will gain less utility, that is satisfaction, from the next unit. This means that consumers will be willing to pay less and less for additional portions of food consumed. Now, buffets make their profit by charging a price which is above the price of the food that the average customer consumes, based on the assumption that the customer will be at the point of zero marginal utility, that is, zero satisfaction, before they have consumed a quantity of food where the marginal cost to the firm is greater than the price the customer paid for the buffet in the first place. Now realize that most customers will make no more than 3 trips to the buffet station, and with decreasing portions, yet implicitly paying a fixed price per trip. A lot of buffets are savvy enough to charge a price much higher than the additional cost of a meal. Customers or patrons to the restaurant believe that for their money, they are getting an infinite supply of food, and so are willing to pay a larger price than they would at an a la carte restaurant. The buffet supplier knows that they really cannot eat as much as they think. Running a buffet all-you-can-eat restaurant is real good business, unless you locate very close to a university campus. We have not yet examined the economics of that one. Our hidden economics for you. In Africa, economic growth over the past decade has averaged about 5.2% annually. This is clearly higher than the global average of about 4.2%. In sub-Saharan Africa, real GDP growth has averaged over 5.5% in the past 10 years, compared to just about 3.7% in the previous 10-year period, that is from 1993 to 2002. Does this mean that Africa has gotten more competitive? If so, what signs show that? And indeed, what should Africa do to increase economic performance across the board in a world that has gotten more competitive? Recently, we had with us 2 dynamic and well-experienced gentlemen who have covered, followed, and researched trends in Africa, Dr. Okujo Nnana and Mr. Martins Oloja. Dr. Nnana is an economist and a central banker. He is now a consultant with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Mr. Oloja is the Abuja bureau chief of the very preeminent Guardian newspapers in Nigeria. Please join us as we discuss Africa's economic competitiveness with Dr. Nnana and Mr. Oloja. So, Dr. Nnana, given all the attention that Africa continues to have, as being the next economic frontier, how is Africa doing? And basically, what I mean by that is Africa ready? Is it really the next economic frontier?
Well, thank you for having me. But the point here is that it seems that I don't share that optimism, given the hard data we have on the ground. Those who try to portray Africa as the next frontier may be saying so out of sentiments. But if you face the hard data we have on the ground, there's no reason for optimism. And why do I say this? Given any economic indicator, say, for example, the Global Competitive Index, the most ranking African country is Tunisia. In Africa south of the Sahara, South Africa is ranked number 50. Tunisia is ranked number 40. Incidentally, my own country, Nigeria, we are ranked number 127.
127.
And that is bad news.
Okay.
And the story we hear about Africa being the next frontier is that those who are going to drive the African growth are South Africa and Nigeria. If we are ranked 127 out of 142 countries in the world. And South Africa is ranked number 50 out of 142 countries in the world. How can we?
But couldn't it mean that we are coming? Okay, we're not there today yet.
Yes.
You know, we're not the frontier today.
Yes.
But it just means the next frontier just means we're coming. Do you share the same outlook? Do you see the same outlook for Africa? We're not there yet. We cannot be the next frontier. We're not going to be the next frontier, Mr. Oloja?
Definitely, I share the same sentiment. I think the people have always just massaged our ego like that. And just like in Nigeria.
Now, who are these people that are massaging
people,
our ego? These people with the sentiment.
Some consultants and political dealers, not leaders. Political dealers in Africa, not leaders. They always
political dealers.
Dealers, yes. They will always tell us that housing for all by the year. But which was the year?
It was 2000.
2000.
And we are in 2012.
2012 now, no house for anybody. Then they came up with another one by another consultant that our political dealers contracted to say that by the year 2020, Nigeria will be one of the 20 biggest economies in the world. And now we are working towards that. But those of us who are looking and who are inside cannot see any indicator that we are going to be there apart from this being on paper. And look at the data he just read out about Africa. Yeah. You know that the only FDI destination in reality in Africa is the one that is realistic is South Africa. It's ranked number 50. And because they have some...
You mean that is FDI not going into natural resources?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, for normal type manufacturing.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you look at the ranking, Tunisia is number 1. South Africa is 50. And we're saying South Africa, as he said, and Nigeria. Nigeria is 127. And you see, they always mention Rwanda as a serious country and Mauritius as another serious country in Africa. And if you look at Economic Freedom Index by the Heritage and Wall Street Journal, Mauritius is number 8. And nobody wanted to mention Mauritius yesterday. But now they say they are coming out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying for Africa, that we are not, let's consider today to be yesterday.
But how many countries?
They are not mentioning Africa now, but that doesn't mean Africa is coming.
Doing business by the World Bank.
Yes.
And you cannot find any information that will give us the optimism that people are talking about. In fact, Nigeria is ranked for doing business. Nigeria is ranked, the ranking of Nigeria for doing business, 133 out of 183 countries. Where you have so many other countries.
I want to jump in here, really.
Sure.
And I don't see any reason for optimism because we are not working towards that.
What I'm trying to say is, for now, take Nigeria, for example, there is the ability to import all these other things that we mentioned from outside because of the resources we're getting from the oil sector.
Okay.
But I guess the point you're probably making is that the economy is not diversified enough.
Yes.
And sooner or later, it will catch up with us.
It's already caught up with us.
Our needs will far overwhelm
definitely, and even
the things that we're drawing from the oil sector.
But as we are talking, it has already caught up with us.
Yeah.
The price of oil has fallen, approaching our budget level of $72 per barrel. The quantity we export has fallen. So it has already caught up with us. We don't have to wait for it.
And even we have read a report that even the United States has even cut down on its own fuel import from Nigeria. Yeah. So they are looking for new market. And then the same government is lamenting the import bill as it affects food items, fish, rice, and some other items that could have been produced here. Already saying that
how we productive?
It's putting pressure on the budget. and that
Okay.
it is unacceptable.
So how do we solve that? Let's start with agriculture, agribusiness.
Yes.
What do we do to make ourselves more productive?
We did something during the Second Republic about the presidential initiatives on certain agri products like cassava, rice, wheat. The government in Nigeria is talking about trying to encourage us to eat bread made out of cassava flour.
Yes.
That's a step in the right direction. But we should put our money where our mouth is. What is the presidential initiative to encourage cassava production, cassava farming at the commercial level? What? I haven't seen anything on the ground. To tell me to eat bread made out of
But
cassava.
don't we have enough cassava out there?
I don't think so.
There is Gary all over the place.
Not the price. I
And-
don't
and
think.
if
I
we
don't think. I don't
overproduce,
think. I
would we
don't.
not
No,
kill the
I don't
market
think.
for our
No,
peasant
I don't
farmers
think you go to the
and
market to buy Gary.
market women?
No. If you ask your wife if she's here, she would tell you that the price of Gary is going up, not coming down, as inflation will indicate.
But when we produce it commercially, when we kill the peasant farmers and the
No, we have
small-time
strategic
marketers of Gary.
grain reserves.
Yeah.
Okay, we can in fact subsidize them.
Okay.
I strongly believe in subsidy for production, not for consumption.
Absolutely. Conflict. Can you, Mr. Oloja, be successful in the midst of conflict? When is there a real perceptible conflict strong enough to undermine current competitiveness and future potential competitiveness?
Well, since we are supposed to be conflict sensitive,
Yes.
and we don't want to go into the academia to be talking about some of these conflicts, because sometimes when we talk about the conflict we have here, we want to compare it with what they even have in Arab world that has become even Arab Spring now.
Yes.
Sometimes we make the mistake because of lack of research, work on some of these issues. Definitely, as long as we are not conflict sensitive enough to resolve these conflicts, development will continue to elude us, because anybody carrying FDI in any hand at all will land in any country that has refused or failed to resolve its own conflict, because nobody wants to
No,
do.
they come if it's oil
If
or if it's gold.
If it is gold,
Even
yeah,
if
it's,
you are shooting yourself in the
They
streets of
will come,
Abuja,
yeah.
they will still
definitely,
come.
but they will come for oil.
No, they will come in the night, get the oil and go in the
But
morning.
oil business is not part of the
But
FDI
you
thing.
know, that's why I have
for-
said
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
when you sell mineral resources,
Yeah.
you got to require them to use 50% of what they sell, of what you sell to them.
Yes.
To process 50% of what you sell to
yes,
them
definitely.
in your own country.
Yeah, definitely.
So you make sure that you tie any purchases of natural resources to actual, real domestic activity in your own
In
country.
your own
It
country.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But you know
It
that
makes sense.
But like in 20 seconds, Mr. Oloja, what general thoughts, what closing thoughts would you have for Africa to be competitive in the global marketplace?
And I think Africa should just wake up to the realities of the 21st century, that other continents will not wait for Africa. We need sense of urgency about whatever we are doing, sense of urgency to fight corruption, sense of urgency to develop higher education for innovative technology, and sense of urgency to develop critical infrastructure before we can be competitive.
Give us a solution, Dr. Nana.
Well, I think I align my views with his, which African countries should, in fact, through the auspices of the AU, focus and drop it into the leadership of Africa. They should face the major binding constraints, which is infrastructure, energy, education, and health. Those four pillars are very critical. If we don't actually make progress in them, the so-called new frontier, which Africa will represent, will continue to elude us.
On that note, I want to thank you so very much, Dr. Nana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
It's a
Mr.
pleasure
Oloja.
having me.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wonderful. The World Economic Forum, based in Geneva, Switzerland, has published what it calls the Global Competitiveness Index for more than 3 decades now. I agree with the World Economic Forum that competitiveness can be evaluated on the basis of the set of institutions, policies, and factors that determine the level of productivity of a country. A high level of productivity is required in order to be seen as economically competitive in the global marketplace. In general, a more competitive economy is one that is likely to grow faster over time and provide a good quality of life for its people. What is important to note is that every country that has transformed competitively from underdevelopment to global economic power status has had to embark on a process of rapid industrialization. Now, what does it take to rapidly industrialize? You need the following. 1. Steel. 2. Cement. 3. Electric power. 4. A highly skilled workforce prepared from good tertiary institutions. And 5. The rule of law. If Nigeria and Africa can assure these 5 planks, we will be able to build an infrastructural base and set up institutions, not persons, that can speed us in global competitiveness. Without these 5 planks, you would be hard-pressed to find how the people or the economy can be competitive. After all, as we have said, it is the productivity of the people that drives the competitiveness. Think about this situation. In North America, the United States is the largest country in population and in the size of the economy. In South America, Brazil is the largest country in population and in the size of the economy. In West Europe, Germany is the largest country in population and in the size of the economy. In East Europe, Russia has the largest population and the largest economy. In East Asia, China, of course, dwarfs the rest in population and in the size of the economy. In South Asia, India is the leader in population and in the size of the economy. In Africa, Nigeria is the leader in population, but at this time, not yet the leader in the size of the economy. For Nigeria and Africa to be globally competitive, we will have to do what other people are doing who are competitive. We will have to secure our own pillars and then invest in the people and in basic and fundamental industrial transformation. Otherwise, we remain a dumping ground for manufactured goods from everywhere else in the world. I'm Magnus Packel, and that's my view.